Hello and welcome to Design Boss Dialogue, the podcast where bold and ambitious women in interior design come for real conversations to transform and take their businesses to new heights. I am your host, Lisa Marie Elkhadraoui, interior designer and business mentor, here to share my experiences and insights into running an interior design business, as well as empowering you to build the confident, profitable design business you've been dreaming of and truly deserve. In this space, we blend creativity with strategy to help you craft your success and thrive in the world of design. Every episode is packed with unfiltered, no BS conversations, daily inspiration, and actionable business tips to turn your passion into a thriving, cash-rich business. Together, we're redefining what it means to succeed in the interior design industry, one intentional, game-changing decision at a time. So get ready to step up, elevate, and create the design empire you've always envisioned. Welcome back to day 20 of the Advent Calendar Christmas podcast. Joining me in today's conversation is Kayleigh Greenacre, who is an award-winning global business strategist, coach and mentor, TEDx speaker, motivational speaker, and mum entrepreneur. She supports female entrepreneurs in building, growing, and scaling their dream businesses by becoming the iconic leader in their industry that everyone wants to buy from. As a single mum, her daughter Sophia is the biggest motivation and the reason why her business and entire movement of Actually I Can exists. Kayleigh's mission is to positively impact millions of female entrepreneurs around the world to follow their dreams and make it their reality, creating the freedom, success and wealth that they dream of. And today we're diving into being rooted into who you are and believe that you can. Kayleigh, it is absolutely lovely to have you here on our Advent Calendar podcast. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to the podcast.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. Very excited.
It's lovely. So for all of our gorgeous listeners, tell them and tell me and us, how did you get into this amazing world? Because you are an iconic leader and such a huge movement for women. Over to you.
So in terms of getting into this whole world, this industry and creating a movement, a bit of a background story for me. So I used to be in education. I used to be a teacher. I used to be an assistant head teacher in secondary school and sort of really supported and helped and oversaw all of the GCSEs and A-levels. And what I found through years and years of, supporting so many students, but also so many teachers, was a lack of self-confidence, a lack of self-belief, a lack of clarity as to kind of who they wanted to become as them. I think we were stereotypically brought up into this world of you go to school, you get your GCSEs, you then get your A-levels, you go to university, you then get out a job and a career, and then you work your way up the ladder. And that's exactly what I grew up into as well, and exactly what I did. And the more that I looked around at the people I was supporting and helping, being students and teachers at the time, the more it opened up a bit of a realization in my mind of, but there is so much more to this. There is something missing, something majorly missing to really support people. And a lot of the work that I always used to do in schools, although yes, it was for females and males, I was very passionate about supporting females. So again, the students and also the women in becoming leaders. So leaders in senior leadership and middle leadership. And basically I had this massive kind of, I'm going to say, epiphany wake up moment in the middle of COVID. So COVID hit, obviously everything went upside down as such. And I was a keyword time having to go in and out of school. And it was basically my moment. It was my moment of, I can do more. I can do so much more than, yes, I'm positively impacting people in my school and my trust. I can do so much more out there. And I'd always have a passion for media. I had a business on the side anyway. I was a photographer and videographer as well. So I've always been an entrepreneur since the sort of my early 20s. And I was going through a very complicated divorce and selling the house and everything, bang in the middle of COVID. It was a very, very hard and challenging time for me. And it was my wake up call. And I said, do you know what? I'm going to create something from scratch. And I'm going to support and impact as many women as I can around the world with their self-belief, with going after what they want to achieve and showing them what is possible for them. So I use myself almost as if an experiment, started a brand new business from scratch with all of my entrepreneur sort of experience from my last business
Yeah.
and my coaching experience from my teaching experience, and basically created Actually I Can, which was the name and still is the name of my business and movement. That was in 2021, launched it.
Yeah.
And since then, to be honest with you, it has just absolutely skyrocketed. We've grown with, hundreds and hundreds of clients now. We've got thousands of people inside the community. And now I support people quite simply building their own businesses and following their dreams and turning their dreams into a reality.
I absolutely love that. And I hear so many gorgeous stories of women that have pivoted during COVID. And it's almost like women are saying, it's not a breakdown, it's a breakthrough, because it's leading me to being able to really make an impact in what I want to do. And, as I say it, sometimes COVID was a huge blessing in disguise, a phenomenal amount of people in the industry and women. And obviously we wouldn't have you, your fabulous self, sitting here today if maybe we didn't have COVID, and you didn't have that amazing breakthrough and could support thousands of women in what you actually are doing, which is just phenomenal. I absolutely love it. A huge inspiration. So with that, what is your core teaching or methodology that you have, which is kind of the golden thread running through what you do with women? Do you have like a particular ethos or a particular saying?
Yeah, absolutely. So ultimately, the business itself is called Actually I Can, and the movement Actually I Can, and the iconic era. And what this is all about, all of the work that I do comes down to the fundamentals of, as yourself, authentically become the best version of yourself and go for your dreams. So work towards your dreams no matter what. So it's always looking at what can you do on a daily basis to improve, to head towards that dream or goal, to work forward. So we've got specific methodologies and frameworks inside my space and my programs and things to help people. But one of the biggest things I always say to people is, do you know what? If you're going to be successful, if you're going to create the freedom, the wealth, the success, whatever it is that you want to achieve, you've got to be the iconic leader. The iconic leader is where it is at. And that is all of the work that I do is around supporting women in becoming an iconic leader as themselves, leaning into their own identity, their own, embodying and self-belief as well, and really knowing and understanding who they are and staying true to themselves. Because I think it's so easy, isn't it, online at the moment, to be misled or influenced. But then it starts to take you away from the actual root and your truth, who you are as an individual.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there is so much noise out there, and especially this time of year, we get these walls of noises happen, especially around the festive period. And in general, it can knock a lot of women off their path if they are suffering with that lack of confidence or lack of clarity, or maybe even on their journey, and they kind of can easily get distracted. And I think that's a lovely point. It's anchoring into your purpose, anchoring into your your worth, your why, and really staying pace and momentum in that lane, which is really, really important.
Absolutely. Staying in your lane. And I think as well, at the end of the day, people are building, businesses, for example, because I obviously now support women who are building those businesses. But, people build their businesses for a reason, they have a why, absolutely, but they have a purpose, they have a mission, they have a vision. And I always say to people, you've got to stick by that, because regardless of what everyone else is doing, it's so noisy, like you said. But it's a case of really staying in your lane, staying focused and being true to who you are. And that is when success happens. And I think a lot of people are misled down this route of, well, I just need to do what so-and-so is doing because she's making billions and she's living the life. And I'm like, no. She's done that because she's followed her purpose, her reason, her pathway. But you as an individual, so you can create whatever you want to create, you've got to be truthful to yourself, and you've got to stay in your lane and stay focused to your mission, your vision, your value, and your why.
I absolutely love that. And getting on the recording and with the team, you gave such a beautiful piece of value that we're going to talk about for the lovely listeners and women to take into 2026. And this was be rooted in who you are and believe that you can. Talk to me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So it stems from, what we've just been mentioning in terms of, who you are authentically, your identity. But it also really links to that self-belief. I think one of the biggest things that stops people from achieving any goal, any dream is, as we know, that mindset and that self-belief. And I think if people are consistently reminding themselves that they can do it, honestly, it is the most incredible thing, because it will support people and help people. But the problem that we have is that is very hard to keep consistently. That's very hard for you, anyone, any of us as an individual to say, I can do this, even though I've had a really rubbish week or that didn't go to plan, but I can absolutely do this. But we have to keep reminding ourselves. So a lot, again, the work that I do and the value that I've shared there, it really is true. But I would always say, as advice to any listeners, just remind yourself every single morning, remind yourself that you can do this, because you can. If I can do it, so can anyone else. If Lisa Marie can do it, so can anyone else. If, Stephen Bartlett can do it, so can anyone else. But it is got to come down to that mindset first, that self-belief. Once we've got that in place, then we can lean into the identity of who we are, following that pathway. And then obviously the strategies and everything else on top of it follows on.
Yeah. And I love the way you also put here, the moment you stop chasing validation and start leading from vision, everything shifts. That is so powerful, isn't it?
Absolutely. I think, again, in the online space, it's almost as if we always say it's the kind of the picture perfect platform, and people do look for validation. They're looking for validation from other people to say, Kayleigh, that was a fantastic idea. Oh, I love this. And they're looking for the engagement and the likes and the comments and all of these things. As much as engagement is great, but we should never be seeking validation or engagement or anything of anyone else. At the end of the day, again, I always truly believe if you are that passionate about your vision, your values, your mission, and your why, you will be able to do it. And it really is a case of staying really, really close and truthful to that vision.
So going back to the beginning of your journey, when you were transitioning from obviously being in the school, supporting all of your peers and the school around you, into what you're doing today, were there any points or periods in your journey where you felt fear or doubt? And talk me around maybe some of your mindset tools or shifts that you put in place for yourself as obviously a successful entrepreneur.
Of course. So absolutely, there was fear and doubt, and there still is fear and doubt. I think every single entrepreneur, if they don't have fear or doubt at some point in their, in their week or their month or their journey, then they're not leaning into it enough. They're not challenging themselves and pushing themselves enough. But I think, more towards the beginning of the journey, there was lots of fear. I was a single mum at that time, after going through the divorce, selling my house, I had my own mortgage to pay. I had a daughter. And I had to make this work. And it was either a case of staying in my career, which I'd pretty much hit the top of. I could only really go next to a head teacher, which I didn't want to do. Or I can really focus on building something incredible that's going to impact thousands of women's lives. That's what I was really passionate about then. Yeah. But there was fear. Absolutely. There was the fear of what if I fail? The fear of, am I going to ever be able to make the or match the salary? Because I was very well paid. So coming out of a very stable and very well paid position to then saying, oh, it's all down to me now. I've got to build this scratch and actually make something of it. There's all those fears. What if I can't pay my mortgage? What if, all of my friends and family laugh at me because I've walked away so safe that all of these questions, all of these fears, all these doubts. So what I had to do is, again, it always comes back to that self-belief. So I did a couple of things back then. One of the first things was that actually someone else taught me, which was journaling. And I know journaling is something that you either love or hate. Like I don't do it anymore. I don't enjoy journaling anymore, but it was something that I needed to do back then, and it really helped me. And I literally just took 5 minutes a day journaling and basically reminded myself of that I am going to achieve this. And within the next year, this is what's going to happen. And just kind of those constant reminders to myself, really, what is possible. Because again, if you believe it that much, you can make that happen and make it reality. So journaling was a really, really good thing. But the other thing that really, really supported me was listening to podcasts, listening to other inspirational, successful people who have built something from nothing. And I think when we look around as entrepreneurs, it's so easy to see big successes, but also so easy to forget that they were exactly where you are today,
Yeah.
however many years ago, months ago, years ago, whatever it is. So actually listening to some really inspirational, successful people and hearing their journeys and listening to what they did and the strategies that they implemented to support them in moving forwards, that kept me extremely motivated and really gave me, again, that self-belief that, again, if Stephen Bartlett can do it, I can do it. If Daniel Priest
Yeah.
can do it, I can do it. If Mel Robbins can, I can. And this is a reminder. They're not necessarily celebrities put on a pedestal. They are successful people that have built something from nothing. And that is what we need to remind ourselves of.
I think that is such a lovely tip and value for people listening to take, because we have to remind ourselves these people started at the beginning with a purpose, a strong why and an anchor, but also mainly a belief in their vision, and created that vision for themselves and stayed in that lane, built that momentum and stayed really true to themselves. I remember when I first started podcasting, before obviously I had the studio here, when I first started, I started podcasting at home, and I used, both my boys have this like pop-up fire truck, big play tent thing. And I would put that up and I would basically get all the blankets around it, put all the cushions. And I'd say, if Stephen Bartlett can do his podcast from his bedroom in his cupboard, I can start in my son's fire truck. And my husband came home from work one day and took a photo of me. He said, you do realise when you're sitting in a huge global office, that photo that I've taken is going to be up there for where you first started the podcast in the Voice fire truck on the lounge floor. And I was like, but babe, I believe this is going to happen. And obviously a year on, then we've got the studio. So what's going to happen next year? And it's about just really staying streamlined to that belief, because some days it can be so hard and you need that fire to reignite in the mornings to say, I can do this. I can do this.
Absolutely. Just again, that constant reminder to yourself. And I love that story, by the way, that you've just shared. I think that's incredible. Really, really incredible. And again, you see it quite a lot. You know, there's a lot of people that I know that are now multimillionaires, but they all started their businesses like on a box, a laptop on a box in a bedroom or a one bedroom flat or whatever it is specifically where they started. And I think that's incredible. I'm like, good. They smashed. They did amazing. There's nothing like, you don't need, as much as it's beautiful to have studios, to have photo shoots, to have these luxury, beautiful things, but you don't need that to start with, do you? You need very simple, basic things that are going to help you create and make impact. And that is the key thing. Again, if you're wanting to make impact, which I'm sure everyone listening will be, you don't need a photographer. You don't need a flashy studio. You don't need any of that yet. What you need to start with is that belief and knowing that you can create impact and saying to yourself, right, how am I going to create more impact this month in the next 30 days? And that might be just going live on Facebook. It's free. Go live and share value. Okay. You, the camera, speak and share your voice. That is what can create impact. That impact can then lead to sales. Those sales can then lead to building or buying yourself the opportunity to have more luxury things to elevate that brand even further in the future.
So touching base on the voice aspect and kind of going live, I find a lot of women that I come into contact with can have that fear, that confidence fear of putting themselves out there, getting their voice seen and heard, afraid of judgment and failure. What would be your top tip for someone kind of starting out, wanting to find their voice or share their value, that might have a fear around showing up or in front of the camera?
So it's a great question actually as well. So what I would always say to people is, first of all, find that one thing that really lights you up, that one topic. Okay, just one. It doesn't need to be 10, it doesn't need to be, loads of different ones, just one topic. So for example, for me, it's about becoming an iconic leader and believing in yourself, right? So whatever topic it is, it might be their own self-belief, it might be to do with fitness, to do with nutrition, whatever it is, whatever lights them up as a topic. And then what I would recommend to people, once you've chosen that topic, I want you to write down 10 things that you're really passionate about for that topic. Okay, 10 things. What is it? So if, for example, it is mindset or nutrition or confidence or whatever it is, write down 10 things that you're really passionate about for that one topic. Then what you can do with that is what you've done is you've given yourself 10 things to talk about, 10 pieces of content, 10 things to talk about on a live, whatever it is. And with that, I then want you to express and share those 10 points about that one topic. And honestly, this is amazing how simple it can be. If people are to start talking on camera and talking about those 10 things, other people will resonate. Other people will be able to connect with something that you're sharing. And you can gradually then build up the confidence, because what you're doing is you're basically sharing value and giving people the opportunity to connect with the passion that you have for that one thing. And that is where people start to build their communities, their connections, their leads, their interest in terms of that particular thing that they're talking about and potentially going to sell.
I love that. And you also mentioned a word in there, which obviously I am very passionate about: community and family. How important is it to build your own community rather than seeking others?
Yeah, it's so, so important. So I always would say, your community is that core foundation. It's the foundation of where you can build, and you can expand that. But ultimately, if you've got a community that, they're going to be your biggest fans at the end of the day. They're going to be your biggest fans with their friends, family, potential clients, people who you are creating positive impact in their lives. They're your biggest fans. And so as you gradually build a community that will support you and help you, and it will allow you to get your message and your voice out there further. People will talk about you who are in your community, and they will invite other people in potentially. But that impact, it's almost as if it's like the ripple effect. And I'm really showing that. So I always believe that building your own community gives you the opportunity to invite people in that are aligned with you and what you offer, rather than seeking other people's communities or trying to get inside other people's communities.
Yeah. And I think it also, when you are true to yourself and you have that anchoring, you have that deep purpose and why for really what you want to do, and create your own movement with what you want to talk about and sell and support, you naturally find other women resonate. They will want a part of that energy. And someone that might want that particular community, they're going to come to Loggerheads because those people are not going to resonate with that person. They're not going to feel that energy. So it's so important to put your energy into building your tribe of women, your community, to gain success that resonate with the belief of that you can, and what you're ultimately doing at the end of the day as well.
Absolutely. And I think if you build it from scratch as well and build your own community, they will come on the journey with you. And I think that's really important as well. People being part of your community, you want them to feel that they're on the journey with you. You don't want to put yourself on a pedestal. That's what I always say to people. As much as you want to be an iconic leader, but that doesn't mean putting yourself on a pedestal so no one else can reach you. It's actually about leading people, but bringing them with you on that journey. Yeah. And that community that you're building is exactly the purpose of what that's for, to bring people on the journey with you so you can support them, help them, advise them, and obviously positively impact them as well.
I love that. So towards the end of the podcast, I always ask everyone, what would be your one key tip or piece of value that maybe we haven't touched upon during our recording that you would want to give someone going into 2026 that is starting a business, or maybe they're feeling a little stuck, or they need a little bit of motivation? What would be something that you'd want to share?
Okay, so if we're not going to talk about the things that I've already spoken about, which is self-belief, actually, kind of the things, I'm going to say something here, which is hopefully going to make everyone think. I'm going to say, think about one of the things that you're scared of the most in terms of your goals. Okay. So whatever your goal is, think of one of the things that scares you the most. So that might be launching a podcast. It might be going live. It might be starting a YouTube channel. It might be putting out that offer that's been sat in your mind or in your journal for the last 6 months. And you know what I'm going to say to you? I'm going to say, do it. Do the thing that scares you. Do the thing that you'll feel.
Oh, I got goosebumps.
Because it's amazing how much things can change. And do you know what? Actually, I've recorded one of my own podcast episodes for the end of this year, and I recorded it yesterday, and it's all about my biggest lessons for this year. And the one thing that I've really leaned into myself this year is courage. And again, doing the things that scare me. And I've done a lot of things, scary things this year, but I now, on reflection, look back and go, gosh, I'm so glad I did it. Because it really does pay off. It pays off. So that's my piece of advice, a little bit controversial to an extent. Go and do the thing that really does scare you, because that is potentially the one thing that's stopping you from reaching your goal and where you are now.
Yeah. I absolutely love that. And something that I teach within one of my group programs with mindset as well is the 1% stretch. And it's this little toolkit that it's basically each week, how are you going to create the 1% stretch in your week by doing that one thing that you keep putting off, or that you maybe are like, oh, I can't do that, or, I'll just put that on to next month or next month or next month. So I absolutely love that. And I am a massive advocate of that. And I think start in January. What are you going to do? And if you're listening to this, both Kayleigh and myself would love to know, what did you actually do? What did you push yourself in doing out of your comfort zone? And I would love for you to be able to screenshot it and share it on stories and tag both of us in it so that we can celebrate with you as well, which would be amazing.
Absolutely. Would love to know that, because again, it's putting ourselves out of the comfort zone, going for it, doing the things that are the most scariest, because ultimately they are going to be the things that will give us that opportunity. And at the end of the day, if we don't try, we never know.
Yeah. Now, one big thing that you did this year, which was absolutely fabulous, and I'm sure was a huge bucket list moment for you, was being able to have the most beautiful premiere in London for your new program for Actually I Can, which airs in January 2026. Talk me through that beautiful moment.
Oh gosh, yes. It was definitely, it's been on my vision board for many years, since probably the age of about 18, 19, to create or to have and physically create my own film that will create impact. And obviously back then the vision looked slightly different of what that would be, but it's been on the vision board for a very long time. But it came into fruition as such a couple of years ago. So it took 18 months to film, and it was a massive project, but I really wanted to create impact again around the self-belief of Actually I Can. And the day that we were in Leicester Square, walking the red carpet, hundreds of people turning up for the premiere, and I stood there, I looked at my daughter, and I said, we've done it, Sophia, we've done it.
Oh.
And it was the most proud moment for her as well. She was like, oh my gosh, I'm famous. She's only 8. But no, it's a beautiful moment looking around at all the incredible women, my clients, my friends, connections that we've met, that we've invited to the premiere, and being able to share this moment, share the story, the raw, unfiltered story that actually most people don't know and haven't seen. And that was the moment that it went live. I say live, but went on the screen in Leicester Square. And it was a very pinch me moment. It was a very vulnerable moment as well. But it's all about impact. And I'm really looking forward to it launching in January, so it can create and support as many women as possible.
I love that. That is amazing. Well, on that, I think thank you so much for today's podcast, joining me, talking about belief and positivity, anchoring, being rooted in who you are, staying consistent, staying in your lane, building community. Don't be afraid to get out there and just do that one thing that scares you. It has been absolutely wonderful, Kayleigh, to speak to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're more than welcome. And if you want to dive into Kayleigh's world and follow her on Instagram, view her website, as well as the premiere of Actually I Can that is going to be airing and launching in January. You can watch it on her YouTube TV channel. Then all the details will be in the show notes where you can catch up and dive into Kayleigh's world. Thank you again, Kayleigh. It has been an absolute pleasure. And I will be back tomorrow with another powerhouse on the podcast. Take care. Goodbye. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Design Boss Dialogue. If you love what you heard, then please share the podcast with your friends and any women that could do with a dose of empowerment just from me. I would love to hear your thoughts around today's podcast with your key takeaways and wins, because your feedback means everything to me. Also, don't forget to leave a review as well as hit that follow button so you never miss out on any inspiring conversations with me or any other trailblazing women I have on. Stay tuned for more exciting episodes, and remember, unleashing your inner design power and unlocking your true potential is only a click away. See you next time.